Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, a spotlight podcast. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
Okay, so paying for higher education, the rising student loan debt is a hot topic these days. But there's a resource that can assist you with your long-term planning to fund higher education that you may not be familiar with. Here to discuss the value that the Michigan Education Trust brings is the Executive Director, Diane Brewer. Welcome to the show, Diane.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
So I mentioned the higher education costs and student loan debt. Before we get deep into the weeds of what your company does, can you share with us maybe some statistics or kind of higher level things? I catch little news clips talking about the staggering amount of student loan debt and how higher ed costs have increased faster than most wages and things of that nature. Can you give us something that we can kind of gravitate to?
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. And what we're looking at nationally is about $35,000, for the average student who has gone out and gotten their undergraduate degree. And it's more than that, for graduate degrees and so on. But right now, the current figure is $35,000. That's pretty average.
Got it. Okay. So those people are getting out and getting careers and have basically a decent sized car payment that they need to pay back, even though they also have a car payment. So it is a little difficult to get launched with that kind of debt when you're a young professional or even a person who goes back to college later in life.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. So the Michigan Education Trust, how long has that the trust been available? How long have you been in existence?
Yeah, the legislation for the trust went into effect 35 years ago. So we're looking at our 35th anniversary this year, helping Michigan families. The first contracts were issued in 1988, but the legislation to get everything going was finalized in 1987.
Okay. And how is the fund administered? I noticed that your domain name is at michigan.gov. So the Michigan Education Trust, is it a government-funded or the government-employed organization?
This is completely funded by the purchaser contributions.
Right.
That's under the Department of Treasury, but we are not funded by the general fund or the state of Michigan. So we're self-funded, but we do, we follow all the guidelines that the state and the Department of Treasury issues, for this kind of authority is what we're considered.
Got it. Under the Department of Treasury, sure. And people are populating them with their own funds to create, yes. So that does make a lot of sense. So how does the fund actually work? So, what do people experience when they engage with a Michigan Education Trust?
What they're doing is they're entering into a contract and they're deciding what level are they going to participate. Are they interested in the community college level or the university level? Then beyond that, they look at, how much am I going to be contributing? Do I want to cover the child or my grandchild's full college career, or do I want to help them out by doing 2 years or a year? And then they would figure out, how do I want to do this? Do I want to do this as a lump sum, a one and done, or can I maybe do it over monthly purchase, and that would be better for me? Or maybe they want to use a pay-as-you-go option. So they just kind of get a feel for, what they want to do and then how they can do it. Once that's done, it really is a situation where until that child goes to school, it's pretty hands-free. And once they've decided on their community college or their college, they notify us, the student does. And then we get things rolling and we work with the school. We notify the school of the benefits. We issue the payments to the school on behalf of that student.
Got it. Okay. And is all of this administered through a 529 plan? Because I'd like to talk about that next.
Yeah, we are a 529 plan. Actually, we predated 529. Michigan was the first 529 prepaid tuition program. And within 529, there's two different structures for programs. One is prepaid tuition, which is MET. The other is an investment-based college savings program, and we have that also. It's MESP, the Michigan Education Savings Program. That is our partner program, and we have a subcontractor on that, but it is, when you come to the end of the day, it is overseen by Met and Treasury.
Got it. Okay. So the 529 plan concept, you mentioned there are two different kinds, and I'm trying to remember. So the story intrigues me a lot because I have two kids in college right now, and my wife was wonderful at engaging in a 529 plan when the kids were basically born. And so now we're in a very much of a different and beneficial position to be in now that it's time to write the checks. Saving early and the compounding, effects of doing it early and letting it ride. But so what you just said, though, MESP is their program. You said is more of an investment strategy versus explain the difference between the two 529s that you explained a few moments ago.
Sure. With MET being a prepaid tuition, the premise is that you will purchase credits today based on today's cost.
Oh, okay.
So if you've got a newborn, there's going to be 18 years of tuition increases, possibly more if your student takes a gap year. The premise of MET is that we're going to make up that difference down the line. So depending on the age of your child, maybe you're starting at 5 or 10 or even 15, you purchase at today's price. We do the investing. We work with the Bureau of Investments and Treasury, and they grow the assets of the trust to meet those future obligations. And with MESP, it's along the lines of your 401k. So when you decide to make a deposit, you'll pick between one of 18 investment options, and then TIAA, there are management subcontractor on that. They have set up and they monitor the investments. They choose the investment options. So depending on how much you put in, which investments you chose, and the performance in the market, when the child's ready to go to college, you'll have a set amount of dollars, and then you use those dollars as you want for qualified higher education expenses. And the big plus for 529 plans, and it's true for both and all across the country, is that they're tax advantaged, meaning here in Michigan, you can get a deduction on your Michigan income tax for contributions that you make throughout the tax year. And then on the federal level, as your earnings are growing, you're not paying gains tax on those each year. In the end, if you use them for education, you will never pay gains tax on them. If you were to take some of the funds out and use it for a purpose that wasn't for higher ed, then the earnings would be taxable. But the principal is not, because these are all after-tax dollars that go into both programs. Got it.
Okay, so I guess I'm doing, or we did. We were not. My children weren't born in this state, and so we didn't use your exact program, but we definitely contributed money through the years and had it grow through investments. So I guess we did the MESP, the MESP type of a platform as opposed to prepaying for credits. So okay, that's great. So, I noticed, there are a lot of people out there that have young children and they're dealing with day-to-day stresses and they're not thinking as far ahead as they probably should. And so, this podcast that we're recording right now, and then some of these events that I see on your website are really seem to have the intention of trying to get the message out and start kind of shaking people, saying, listen, if you want to, give your children higher education and not saddle them with a bunch of debt, listen to this message because it's best time to start is right now. Talk to me about the way you do outreach and tell me about these events that you have on your website and how are you getting the word out to people to consider your organization to get the process started?
Certainly. Well, we love to be out in public. We love to be face-to-face and go through the programs because, it's an emotional issue. It's a person's child or grandchild and their money and what they want for their future. So being out face-to-face is the best-case scenario. We've had to adapt these last 2 years, but we've always done webinars. So twice a month, noon to 1, we do what we call a joint webinar. So it's an hour program. We talk for about 45 minutes, but we have a MET representative and an MESP representative, so we can dive deeper into the details on the two programs. Then once a month in the evening at 7, we have a MET-only webinar. So those are good places. If you've visited the website and read the information and maybe have a bit of a gist for it or just look at it and go, I want to hear somebody talk about this program. A webinar is a great place to start because we do, we have the chat feature and so on. We do one-on-one appointments now with our virtual technology. That's even easier. Pre-COVID, we did a lot of what we called community enrollment sessions. We would go out to different libraries around the state and promote that we would be there. We'd have a team of 5 or 6 different people with representatives from both programs where they could come in and sit down and talk to us face-to-face. They could simply come in for information, or we could sign them up right there on the spot.
Right on.
So we hope back to that soon. Yeah.
Okay. So, and a lot of that is to attract people into the program, and you mentioned a little bit of that live setup. But if I'm a person listening and saying, you know what, this is it, I've decided I need to pull the trigger, how do they specifically engage in the process? Not so much to learn more, but to actually get started. And what does that process look like? Are they assigned to some sort of an advisor, or how does that work?
Both these programs, 95% of our enrollments are done online. So it's a simple process. You can go online and sign up. You need basic information. We'll need to know, the child's age, name, address, social security number. They're usually set up by a parent who with MET would be the contract owner, with MESP would be the account owner. Then the student is the beneficiary. And each program allows for a third party, say a spouse, or if a grandparent is doing the purchase or setting up the account, they would name a parent. So we do have people that could talk you through the process, either prior to signing up, or it's not unusual that we've worked with people and just, they're fired up, we're in a Teams meeting, and they're going through the enrollment, and we're there to coach them as to how to do it. We're not, however, broker sold. We are what they call direct sold. So there's not, through the lifetime, there's not someone coaching you through the program all the way. That's what keeps the cost low. Now, there is in Michigan a broker-sold program, and we oversee that too. That's MI 529 or MAP, MAP is part of that. So all totaled in this state, there are 3 programs, but we deal specifically with the 2 direct sold.
Okay. So there's been a lot of debate about the rising higher costs, like I said in my introduction, the return on investment, the value of jobs in the trades. And in traditional 2022, this era's fashion, there seems to be a lot of arrows being slung back and forth as to what's being propagated and, who's being pushed to do what. And certainly in this situation, there's room for everyone to go down whatever path is best for them academically and what type of career they want to get into. But does the MET get involved in any of that, or do you feel like you need to advocate for your programs, or is it really that the funds that people can save up can be used for any type of education beyond high school?
Yeah, what we need to, share with people is that whatever path someone might take to whatever type of post-secondary education, the majority of the time there's going to be a price tag associated with that. And I think that sometimes we're seen as being restrictive, that it must be community college or 4-year university. And that's not really the case. We pay at MET, you get your biggest bang for your buck if you're using your credits at a Michigan public university. But we pay all the Michigan private institutions. We've got students at over 2,700 colleges outside the state of Michigan, and a few that have gone internationally. So when we look at, 529 to keep these, how do we keep them as a non-taxable entity? Well, if it's a degree-granting program that is entitled to offer their students federal financial aid, then it's going to be a tax-free cost when you take your money out of MESP or have MET direct the money to that institution or certain trade programs. So it really comes down to, their certification. But the bottom line is both these are refundable. If the student does not go to college, there's a lot of options. You can transfer these within families, so all or a portion can be transferred to immediate family members, or they can simply be cashed out. Now, if they're cashed out and refunded and not used for higher education again, then that's where the taxable portion comes in, but it's only on the earnings. So if a student is in a trade program that maybe we can't pay directly, we can issue a refund. And if that program is certified federally, then you can do that at, no expense on the taxable side. So there's a lot of flexibility. The flexibility has always been there. We just feel that maybe people aren't quite as aware of it. So, we'd want to stress that to people. It's not like you're in a situation to lose what you put in, but you'll at least be prepared for whatever option that child or grandchild is going to take.
Fantastic. Well, this has been very, very informative. Time has slid by very quickly, but it's a lot of great content. So can you tell us a little bit about how listeners can get engaged with the Michigan Education Trust? How can they learn more?
Yes, well, our website has a lot of information. It's setwithmet.com. And we also have links there to MESP and also to the advisor program. And it's got our 800 number, which I'd love to read off the top of my head, but I don't.
That's okay. It's a digital world, it seems.
Yeah, it's not right there, but it is, on the website. We're based in Lansing, so Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. There's a little bit of a phone tree, but I think there's only one or two buttons, and you can speak with an individual to answer questions directly.
Wonderful. Well, we've been speaking with the Executive Director of the Michigan Education Trust, Diane Brewer. Thanks so much for joining me today, Diane.
Thank you for allowing me to come on.